Get your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.
One way to ensure that your email is more secure is to purchase a digital ID. The digital ID, also often called a digital certificate, proves that you are whom you claim to be in your email by proving your identity to the recipient, and it aids in reducing email tampering. It does this by adding a unique code to your email message that can only come from the digital ID of the sender. The first step in using a digital ID is to acquire a digital ID. The process is slightly different for an Exchange email account versus a POP email account with a PST folder. If you are not connected to an Exchange server, then you can get a digital ID by selecting the File tab and then clicking the Options button. In the Outlook Options dialog box, select the Trust Center. Under the Microsoft Outlook Trust Center, click the Trust Center Settings button. Then click the Email Security button at the left side of the window. Then, click the Get a Digital ID button in the Digital IDs or Certificates section shown. At that point, your web browser should open and display a listing of digital ID providers. Simply select the provider you want to use and click on the hyperlink to follow the instructions on registering for a digital ID. The selected authority will then provide you further instructions via email. Once you have installed a digital ID on your computer, you will need to select the digital ID that you want to use. Some individuals may have more than one digital ID. For example, one is used to provide a digital signature, which can have legal significance in some locations, and another could be used for email encryption. To select a digital ID to use, follow the same instructions to access the email security pane within the Trust Center again. This time, however, you click the Settings button shown under the Encrypted Email section to open the Change Security Settings dialog box. Note that if you use a digital ID, the settings will already be configured for you here. If you want to use a different digital ID, you would click the New button under the Security Setting Preferences section. Then type a name into the Security Settings Name text box. In the Cryptography Format drop-down list, you would choose SMIME. Note that depending on your certificate type, you may need to select Exchange Security instead. Next to the Signing Certificate label, you would click the Choose button to select a digital ID that you want to use for digital signatures. You would then ensure that the Send these certificates with signed messages checkbox is checked. Also, note that the settings you specify here will be the default used for all cryptographic messages sent, unless you uncheck the default security setting for all cryptographic messages checkbox. Note that to send and receive encrypted email messages, both the sender and the recipient of the email must share their digital ID certificates with each other. When you or a recipient of your digitally signed email receive email that is digitally signed, you should open the email. Note that digitally signed email is denoted in Outlook by the signature icon in the message list shown within the inbox. Once the email message is opened, the recipient should right-click on the From line in the email message and then select the Add to Outlook Contacts command from the pop-up menu that appears. If there is already an entry for this individual in your Contacts folder, then select the Update Information of Selected Contact command in the Duplicate Contact Detected message box that then appears. The old contact information is then moved to the Deleted Items folder. At this point, the certificate is now stored with the contact information for this individual, and you can send encrypted messages to this person. Now, if you are using an Exchange Server account for email, your administrator can give you a token to use the Exchange Server digital ID if one has been installed. To do this, you would once again open the Trust Center within the Outlook Options window. You would then click the Get a Digital ID button. You would then click the Set up Security for Me on the Exchange link and then click OK. In the Digital ID name text box that appears, you would type your name. In the token text box, you would enter the password your Exchange administrator has given to you. In the Microsoft Office Outlook Security password text box, you would type a different password of your choosing and then re-enter the same password into the Confirm text box. You will then receive an email from your Exchange administrator that will require you to re-enter the password that you just created. In the dialog box that appears when you open the message, you would enter the password you created and then check the checkbox for Remember Password For, and then enter the number of minutes that you want Outlook to remember this password. Then in the Root Certificate Store message box that appears, you click the Yes button. At that point, you can then send digitally signed email through your Exchange Server email account.
Like what you see? Pick up your free copy of the complete tutorial at www.teachucomp.com/free.